Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a moment in life when someone you love, trust, and open your soul to ends up being the very person who breaks you. When that person is her, the one you believed would protect your heart, the pain doesn't just touch the surface, it rips through your core. But let me say this clearly, when she breaks you, don't fall apart trying to make sense of it. Don't retaliate with words or tears. Instead, break her ego not with hatred, but with your rise. You see, ego feeds on control. Ego wants to know it still matters, that it still affects you. But when you stop reacting, when you stop chasing answers and start focusing on yourself, that ego starts to crack. The strongest response you can give to someone who breaks you is not revenge, but reinvention. Don't lose yourself trying to prove your worth to someone who couldn't see it. Focus on becoming the best version of yourself. Improve in silence, level up in private. Show the world, and more importantly, yourself, that her absence was the beginning of your transformation, not your downfall. Walk away with grace, not bitterness. Leave behind no drama, only distance, because when she sees you thriving without her, when she realizes she no longer holds emotional power over you, her ego won't just take a hit, it will shatter. She may have broken you temporarily, but you have the power to rebuild stronger, wiser, and more focused than ever before. And when you do, the very person who broke you will be left staring at a version of you that no longer seeks her validation, a version she can't reach, can't control, and most of all, can't ignore. So remember this: when she breaks you, don't break down. Break her ego by standing tall, living better, and walking away with dignity. When she breaks you, your first instinct may be to react emotionally. You might want to scream, cry, plead for answers, or throw blame. That's natural because heartbreak hits where it hurts the most, but those emotional reactions, as raw and real as they feel, often do nothing but feed her ego. She sees that she still has power over you. She sees that her absence, her actions, or her betrayal still control your state of mind, and that's exactly what the ego craves: control. But imagine this: instead of lashing out, you stay silent. Instead of chasing her, you step back. Instead of asking why, you start asking yourself, what now? That shift in behavior is powerful. It tells her and the world that you're not broken beyond repair, you're simply resetting. Responding with calm, controlled energy sends a louder message than any outburst ever could. It shows maturity, it shows self-respect, and most of all, it denies her the satisfaction of knowing she still owns a piece of you emotionally. You're not heartless for holding back your reaction. You're wise. You're choosing not to give your pain away as a performance, because the truth is, the strongest people don't always roar sometimes, they just refuse to flinch. When someone breaks you, especially someone you deeply cared for, it's easy to let yourself fall apart, to stop caring, to lose direction, to let the pain take over your days and your dreams. But that's exactly where the real test begins, because in that broken moment, you have a choice. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it define the beginning of your comeback. The most powerful thing you can do is level up. Use the pain as fuel, use the silence as focus, use the heartbreak as your motivation. Start showing up for yourself. Hit the gym not just to look better, but to feel stronger. Invest time in your goals, the ones you might have put on pause for her. Pick up the books you ignored, learn the skills you've been putting off, build something that no one can take from you, your future. Every bit of progress you make becomes a brick in the new foundation of your life. And every time she looks back, she won't see the person she left behind, she'll see someone she no longer recognizes, someone who became unstoppable without her. Leveling up isn't about proving her wrong. It's about proving to yourself that you were never dependent on her love to become who you're meant to be. Growth doesn't ask for permission. It just demands action. So act and let your transformation speak the words your pride never needed to say. When she breaks you, her ego still wants to believe she matters. It wants to feel relevant, powerful, unforgettable. That's why one of the most effective things you can do is cut off the supply of validation. Stop giving her updates through your social media, your words, your mutual friends, or your reactions. Because every time you show you're hurting, every time you post something that sounds like a hidden message, every time you reach out even indirectly, you're feeding the very ego that enjoyed watching you fall. Instead, go quiet, not for manipulation but for mastery. Let her wonder. Let her sit in silence with no idea how you're doing. Let her question whether she still holds a place in your heart, because nothing breaks ego like being ignored by someone it thought would always be there. Your silence becomes your strength. Your distance becomes your message. You no longer exist in the space where she once controlled how you felt. You don't owe her closure. You don't owe her emotional updates. What you owe is loyalty to yourself, to your healing, your peace, your progress. And when you stop giving her attention, you take away the very fuel that ego needs to survive. She may have expected your pain, but she never expected your indifference. And that is how you reclaim your power, not by proving something to her, but by needing nothing from her. When she breaks you, it's easy to start questioning your worth. You begin to wonder what you lacked, what you did wrong, why you weren't enough. You replay every moment, trying to find where you failed. That's the trap, because in trying to understand her reasons, you start defining yourself by her actions. But the truth is, your value was never hers to measure. Just because she couldn't see your worth doesn't mean it wasn't there. Her failure to appreciate you is not a reflection of your value, it's a reflection of her perception. Now is the time to redefine who you are on your own terms. Strip away every identity that was tied to her partner, her supporter, her emotional backbone, and rediscover the core of who you are without the labels, without the attachments. What are your passions? What are your dreams? What do you want, now that you don't have to compromise or adjust yourself to keep someone else happy? Rebuilding your worth means speaking to yourself with the respect you once gave so freely to someone else. It means standing in front of the mirror and refusing to see someone who was left and instead seeing someone who chose to rise, because real self-worth isn't proven by how others treat you, but by how you treat yourself when they don't. The moment you no longer seek her approval to feel valuable is the moment you become untouchable. You stop being a broken version of who she left, and you start becoming the full version of who you were always meant to be. When she breaks you, it's easy to fall into the trap of believing that her absence means your world is smaller, that your worth is somehow diminished. But here's the truth. Your value is not contingent upon anyone else's ability to see it or appreciate it. Just because she couldn't recognize what you brought to the table doesn't mean that you're any less than you were before. Her inability to see your worth doesn't reduce your value, it highlights her inability to see greatness when it's in front of her. What's crucial now is to step away from the mindset that you need her acknowledgement or approval to feel like you matter. Your worth is built on your abilities, your character, your potential, and how you treat yourself. This is your opportunity to redefine yourself, not through the lens of someone else's perception, but through your own. Who are you when you're not trying to be what someone else needs you to be? What happens when you take back your energy and direct it toward things that make you grow and evolve? You owe it to yourself to start loving who you are again, independently of what anyone else thinks or feels. Reclaiming yourself. Worth means understanding that your value doesn't fluctuate with someone else's actions. It remains constant, grounded in who you truly are, not based on the person who couldn't see it. Now is the time to pour your energy into building the life you want to lead, and doing so with the understanding that no one, no heartbreak, no betrayal can take away your inherent worth. When you rise with this knowledge, your worth will become undeniable, not because of anyone else's opinion, but because you'll know, deep in your bones, that you've always been enough. In conclusion, when someone breaks you, it can feel like the end of the world. The pain is real, and the weight of it can be overwhelming, but remember, it's not the breaking that defines you, it's how you rebuild. When she breaks you, don't let yourself crumble into the past. Instead, use the opportunity to rise with strength, to silence the noise of emotional chaos, and to reclaim your worth from within. You don't need revenge. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. The true victory lies in walking away empowered, knowing that you are whole on your own, and that your value is not tied to someone else's ability to see it. Your self-worth is not for sale, nor is it up for debate. Rise higher, not because of her, but because of you. Break her ego, not with hatred, but with the power of your personal growth and peace. When you take back your power, you'll see that the greatest revenge is living well and living better than you ever thought possible. Thank you.